Montara Water and Sanitary District Board of Directors, February 18th, 2021. It is 7:32. May we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Director Boyd?
Here.
Director Decker?
Here.
Director Harvey?
Here.
Director Lohman?
Here.
Director Slater-Carter?
Present.
All right. So all present and accounted for. President's statement. Let me just correct an oversight from last night. Last night we had a very good meeting about sewer and Montara Water and Sanitary Districts notions about some of the coming challenges and some of the opportunities those challenges present. And I want to commend our staff, in particular, our general manager and our consultants and our crew, because it all goes into painting a rather deep and interesting picture. And I want to invite the community, as so many did last night, to stick with us on this, help us out in this conversation. We've pulled together a bunch of ideas from a bunch of places. Now we need to work together and with our collaborators at SAM, the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side, as they explore possibilities for how SAM might go forward with dealing with some of these challenges. We and the member agencies have individually the same challenges. So some really interesting groundwork, reflecting years of keeping an eye on this and weighing these possibilities, but the time's now and we're doing it, and we're really grateful the public's been joining in with us. We'll have another session. Clemens, help me out. When is the next session? And this one's on water.
So the next session is on March 3. And I also just briefly want to mention that we are going to post the session from last night on our website. It's also going to be available on Coastside Buzz.
Terrific. Okay, with that, so again, thank you to everyone who helped put that together. That was terrific. And thank you for everyone who attended, and who didn't attend, please watch it, tell your friends, talk it up on Coastside Buzz, next door, across the street when you pass people on the way to the post office.
There's going to be a test in your next monthly bill.
That's good content for the newsletter.
All right. So do we have any oral comments for items other than those on the agenda? I don't see any. Going once, twice. Okay, moving on to no old business, no new business. Do we have Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side report?
No, the meeting's on Monday.
Okay, that's a good report. Mid-Coast Community Council. Greg Diegas, do you want to speak to this?
He's here.
Let me just spend a second here opening. I made 4 notes, and I'm sorry. I think some of you know that Connect Coastside's final version is out. I can't remember whether I put Clemens in touch with the staff or I put the staff in touch with Clemens, but as you heard, they were unaware of some of the infrastructure costs that some of their alternatives were proposing. They did, however, listen to Clemens and updated their final draft. They listened on a bunch of stuff. I would say the staff did a nice try under impossible circumstances, but with COVID, the old traffic data and the political pressure, I just don't see it as a really viable document. However, maybe it'll secure some funding, which was one objective. I think some of you have heard there's going to be a pump track in Quarry Park by fall. That is moving ahead. I want to point out that Lena Silberman, who's Horsley's assistant, has now begun producing, partly at my request, written reports. And some of her updates on COVID and the vaccine are very useful. I've sent them to several of you, if not all of you. And I've actually found that a number of people have been helped by the news on the vaccines, so that's good. And then finally, one issue that's hanging fire is disaster preparedness, which was brought up with the Board of Supervisors on October 12th last year. And I won't say anything conclusive except this: the reporting on any progress has been fragmented and unclear. What we're doing about fuel reduction, tree removal, permitting changes in the chipper program, and so much more. It's just not visible, clear, and understandable to the community. So I'm hearing about that from a number of residents, and I expect that we'll have a lot more to say about wildfire and disaster preparedness at upcoming meetings. Any questions? Did I miss anything that anybody was interested in?
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, that's it.
CSDA report, Rick
No meetings for another month or so.
and LAFCO.
If I can, no, let me link back since it's generic CSDA. I was going to do a director's report. I got one of these emails from the state group talking about district of distinction. Basically, the minimum requirements are everybody do the required training, plus there's other general management training people would have to attend. Possibly it's just online and free. I'd like to agendize that for a meeting. We have to submit financial statements and a bunch of other stuff. But if it's not too onerous on everybody, we might just want to shoot for that.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I
Rick.
take this as a request and we'll put it on the agenda.
Let's see. How about a LAFCO report, Rick?
Same thing. It's next meeting's in mid-March. The big item which is going around is the East Palo Alto Sanitary District is the big item right now, where the developers in the city want the special district to pay for all the development costs of infrastructure enhancement.
Let me just mention, since it comes up at every meeting when there's anything related to us doing this, that it is the longstanding policy and practice of this agency that development costs are borne by the developer, not by the agency nor the community that we serve.
I'd like to also add that that's the exact same response of every special district in the chapter which actually has this kind of an issue.
There's good law behind that,
Yeah.
but it's worth calling out because apparently it's a great question that the members of the community always come up with. So apparently we need to just say it over and over until enough people have heard it. Okay, let's see. Attorney's report.
I have a quick question for Rick.
Catherine?
Would it be useful if folks were to sign in and make public comment on this?
What'll happen is the next meeting in March, they will be going out for an MSR, which is being paid for by the developers. That's not a conflict. And they'll probably go ahead with that. Probably, from what I understand, the sanitary district is arranging lots of their people to pop up.
Okay.
A similar one was the Broadmoor Police Department. Every MSR says, hey, just merge into Daly City or South San Francisco. At the meeting, a significant number of people showed up at the meeting and said, basically, politely, keep your hands off my district and go away. So
My quick thought on it is this could be something that is well, clearly it's been a try by developers in the past and even more so in the future. And it's not just this district that we need to worry about. It's the general philosophy that
right.
Is being taken. I'd hate to see that spread.
Yeah, knowing the people, they would appreciate any comments when, and I'll keep everybody updated when to put it in. It may not be until March, April, May meeting before it actually comes up again. So that would be the appropriate time.
Because it just, I'm trying to get comfy here. It just seems to me that these things always try and get done in the shadows of the offices. And then when folks get a chance to say anything, it apparently is too late. The decision's been made by the electeds. It's kind of like the policy Half Moon Bay is considering that all new housing in Half Moon Bay has to be all electric. You can see how well that worked for Texas. It just seems that helping to make this more public might be a good deal.
Yep.
Does Mark Simon know anything about this? Oops, sorry.
I got all kinds of people are excited about this right now, so I'll update everybody at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks. Well, clearly my little one is too.
Okay, Christine, attorney's report,
Nothing to report. Thank you.
director's reports. Okay, general manager's report.
Nothing to report.
I just wanted to say there's a SAM board meeting Monday night. And we're going to be discussing the CIP.
And that is for
the capital improvement projects for Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side. I think it will be interesting to watch. There's a couple issues that are up there. The most important one, both for Ann and Michelle, is that it is nice to have a running project list. You vote on one for this next fiscal year, but any board needs a list of what the new, what the upcoming projects are, and that hasn't been able to be produced by SAM due to some of the interesting questions raised by the other districts. And I think it is a dangerous thing for SAM. We haven't had one for years and years and years because of the lawsuit. So I would suggest people watch. This is our attempt to get one going. Thank you.
I noticed the letter that we got from John Doy, the Public Works Director from Half Moon Bay. And I also noticed that the projects that he approves of for the coming year of the capital improvement projects is only half of the total number that we suggested. That doesn't bode well.
Bodes normal.
Let me just, I know the answer to this, but let me just ask it for discussion briefly. What authority does he have at the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side for approval of projects?
None. He says so in his letter. He only makes suggestions.
Yeah. So actually the list of what's on the capital improvement program project list is a list of projects recommended through staff, and that would be the general manager working with the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side sewer engineer, and in concert with the crew on what needs to be happening in terms of maintenance, improvement, and replacement. So you have a bunch of experts there, hands-on, deep knowledge, recommending a list of projects. If someone wants to talk about only half of them, then what they're really talking about is not a necessity question, but a spending question. And so I hope his letter was cast in terms of we don't want to spend the money, because I would really seriously anytime put the work of the SAM staff about the necessity of a project up for examination. And I'm pretty sure it's been rare over the many years that we've been at this that they put forward a project that really isn't necessary. It's usually a question of when, and is there a better way to accomplish a project than the one proposed? But it's almost never a question of, is it necessary?
I went through, I asked after the last meeting, I asked to have the 2009 SRT list sent to all the board members, as well as the most recent 5-year CIP, and a list of all the ones that have been completed. There is nothing extensively new on this. We haven't been able to have a CIP because for the last couple of years because we've had so many million-dollar projects, multi-million-dollar projects that have needed to be done that weren't recognized. What bothers me most about this particular one, this particular time, is we have had BOD problems.
BOD. Do you remember what that means?
Clemens, help me. Biological
oxygen demand.
Oxygen. And the staff wants to get all 4 tanks running, and 2 other agencies don't feel that's necessary, even though the staff does, and there are fines associated with these kinds of things. And this reminds me ever so much, painfully so, of the El Granada force main issue that was identified in 2009, and then we had the crumbling of the pipe in 2017, and it was only discovered because one of the SAM staff was swimming in the ocean past a creek and noticed a characteristic odor. Because it's all underground, and if it's underground, it's not noticed. It cost us years and tons of money. How much money was that project, Rick or Clemens? I mean,
Well, it was the fines too. It was multi-million and everything.
It was multi-million by the time we got and it's only just finishing. So I am concerned that people don't want to spend money, and so they're not willing to spend money even on needed projects. And any board member, everyone can tune in. You just and you can even speak as a citizen, is what we decided, because Sam is independent of MWSD. At least that was our practice in the past. And to Michelle, please follow this. Please come, and Ann too, because I think that's the only item on the agenda, and it's a very important one.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Peter.
I must also say that I was impressed by the presentation, the 22-page presentation for the CIP with both photographs of the equipment to be replaced, as well as the complete story near the photographs, and the comment consequently by the experts. I was really impressed. It is very extensive, and it gives a very good idea of what is necessary.
I'm glad to hear that. Catherine, you mentioned something about not willing to invest to prevent catastrophe, and the spill that happened was entirely preventable.
Yes.
Sam had plans to do it. Half Moon Bay stopped us from doing it, and disaster ensued, and it cost us far more to deal with the disaster than it would have to do the maintenance that they didn't want to pay for. You jokingly mentioned Texas and the crisis that they're in. So much of that crisis came from not being willing to spend to prepare for a coming crisis. So they did not have reserves. They didn't have freeze protection for their coal supply. They didn't have winterization protection for their windmills, all sorts of things that they didn't have preparation for because they were a little more interested in the almighty dollar than caring for people in the crisis comes where it has the biggest impact on people. So it's like the exact time that you need to be protecting health and safety is why we spend to keep the system working. So I hope the audience can see we feel pretty strongly. We don't want to waste money, but we sure don't want to waste more money because someone didn't want to spend the money to take care of the system. We take care of the system to protect human health and safety and the environment, and that's our job. And if we're not doing that, it's like, you hear the phrase, you had one job. That's actually the job. All right. I forget, Clemens, did you finish your manager's report?
No report. Anne has her hand raised.
Very good. Anne?
Hi, thank you very much. And yes, if I could give my 2 cents, I have especially in the past, now even more so, feel if there's a way to divest from Half Moon Bay, it might be in our best interest. And I think I don't really believe in consolidation. I'm just concerned, as a homeowner, we have invested so much into this system, and I feel that they have not really put in their fair share, and they don't seem to have the same commitment that you do to the system. And with so many new developments going in, I mean, it is important to get it right. And so that's just my 2 cents. And I thought I thought about it last night after the meeting, and I don't even know if this is possible, but if you did go to a recycled water type of system, if we had any storage, is it possible to get money from CAL FIRE to have some of the water saved for firefighting, and not just in storage tanks, but something where they could fill their fire trucks with? Because they do have a lot of rural areas that they cover, and it might be a way that they could utilize the water for firefighting throughout, the state, or at least Northern California. That was just my question. Anyway, thank you so much.
Well,
And
thank you for the suggestion, and we, keep the ideas coming. It's an interesting one. I can think of some practical problems, but you know what? Let's give it some thought and see what it stirs up.
I think it's a very good idea. We've seen similar models where actually homeowners are able to pick up recycled water for their use as well. So I think it's doable.
Yeah, it certainly sparked some good ideas. So thank you for that, Ann. Okay, let's see. We've already picked up an item for future agendas. Next up, we are going to recess briefly and then reconvene in closed session. We'll be dealing with what's on the agenda. One case of existing litigation, City of Half Moon Bay versus Granada Community Services District et al., and we're the owl. Conference with legal counsel about anticipated litigation, one case, and then public employee performance evaluation and conference with labor negotiators for the general manager. Both of those go together. So with that, our thanks, Ann and Greg, and anyone else who tuned in. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. And Michelle mentions that the video of last night is now up on PCTV and will be up on Coastside Buzz tomorrow.
Good.
So please check it out.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michelle. And Anne, please keep attending. We used to bring cookies when we met in person, but we won't load you down with cookies of the digital kind.